So I could not be more thrilled to introduce tonight's moderator, David Letterman.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And Jerry Seinfeld, thank you. No intro. Okay.
I believe so, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be a part of this. And I must apologize, I was nearly tardy. I was told the Javits Center.
That would have been a lot more people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. Listen, I've been studying this project, and I've been making notes and so forth, and I feel like I want to throw everything away and begin from scratch because just having seen the Sarah Jessica Parker show, I thought that was all you needed for a show. I thought that was delightful.
Oh, thank you.
And without knowing, it seemed to me that that was the essence of what this show is. Am I right about that?
Well, yes, but it really was a kind of a guess. I mean, I really couldn't imagine when I thought of the idea that that could be a show. Mm-hmm. That, first of all, that you would get enough stuff so that you could make it, long
right.
enough to be worth watching. But that was where the internet, the show happening at the time that it did, and the internet and being able to watch things streaming, and if it, a few years ago, I never could have done it. So the fact that I could make the shows any length I wanted, that gave me the freedom to do it.
All right, now this brings up several questions. I had to ask to be on your show. I was not included in the initial rundown.
That's correct.
Yes. So in my ignorance, I assumed all shows were the same length. Now,
no.
Having gone through the catalog of your shows, I realize they're at varying lengths.
Yes.
And so as competitive as I am, I'm afraid to know what the length of my show was.
You scored very high.
Oh, good. Thank you very much.
Very high. But that's not all your fault. I mean, it's just...
Well, no, wait a minute. So you're implying there was fault?
Yeah. Well, it's a completely natural, obviously unscripted. Right. There's no preparation of any kind.
Okay.
So conversation is good or bad. It's just
now, in the land of cable television, we all must know now that there is a show about anything on a channel about anything. Mm-hmm. And there is a channel devoted entirely to automotive interests. Now,
there is?
Yes. You're not aware of this?
Cars.tv or whatever, what is it?
It's called Velocity.
Oh, Velocity, okay.
Are you familiar with it?
Well,
I guess not.
I'm not, no.
So you're telling me that if you wanted to pick up the phone tomorrow and say, what do you think? Would you be interested in carrying comedians in cars getting coffee?
Are you my agent? I mean, this is, the idea of the show, honestly, was to try and create something that fit a whole new medium.
Right.
I really was thinking, what would be a good TV show for a phone? That was really where I started.
Right.
And I thought this would be fun for a phone, because you don't have to follow a story.
But also, your premise was that this is the kind of show that could never be listened to in a pitch form at a traditional network.
Yes,
and now I'm telling you, there exists a network that would welcome this show.
Well, let's get into figures then. What are we talking about?
I don't know. So the other question is, to me, and I thought about this, could we have done the show without cars? Could it be just comedians getting coffee?
No.
Comedians playing cards getting coffee?
No.
Comedians fishing getting coffee?
No.
Has to be cars.
And these are just my theories. They're personal. I don't know if they hold water, but these are my theories. I think part of what makes the show watchable is it's moving. Mm-hmm. That there's an energy.
Right.
When you have no narrative drive, you're not telling a story. No one's waiting to see what happens. We know they're going to get coffee. That's the only story.
Right.
You need a kinetic energy. So it was like take a talk show and make it move and make it outside, and then maybe you could sit through the 11, 12 minutes, whatever it is.
What was mine?
Yours was the maximum we've ever done at that time. I think it was over 20.
No, it was 18.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the cable version. Yeah.
So this, watching you and Sarah Jessica Parker raises so many questions for me.
Really?
Yes, I'm envious of this. This is a lovely project, and heretofore I thought that the car was only. Here's what I originally thought.
Yeah.
Because I know you have a collection of cars.
Yeah.
And I thought you had found a way to write them off.
I don't think the public would frown on that at all.
No, that's just fine. But so heretofore, I thought it was more symbolic, because I'll give you an example.
Symbolic?
Symbolic, yes, because Howard Stern, you're in a GTO from the 60s, I believe, a big, huge muscle car, very, very popular, and Howard couldn't have cared less about the car.
That's right. Well, a little bit. He thought it was a little interesting.
Yes, and he liked that on the back was the iconic logo, The Judge,
Yeah.
because he's a judge on the America's Idol Top Talent show.
Yeah.
However, you and Jessica Parker in this station wagon,
Yeah.
I thought the car made perfect sense.
Yeah, well, that was her car. She had just bought it. And I was talking to her about what kind of car. She said, well, I just bought this car. And I go, well, that's kind of a good tie-in, so let's use that.
But it was perfect. And even if you two had not gotten coffee, the show was in the car. And I thought, well, here we have now the essence. I bet this is what Jerry was striving for.
Well, but in the diner, we got the rye bread bit came back, and the guy who doesn't know where to look. So, you know, you need moving the guest. Here's another theory of mine. Moving people around keeps them awake.
Right. But and here's another question. Having hosted a show of my own, do you are you looking for the personality as a guest to be the dominant influence, or do you want to be the dominant influence, or do you want to be equal?
It doesn't matter. As long as I can engage with the person. It's really amazing to me that you, who are probably even crankier than me, are able to engage. You're able to engage with almost anybody. I don't have that breadth of interactive ability. I pretty much engage with funny people or weird people or, you know, kind of off people. Anybody who's a little normal, even just like, let's say, a normal actor or actress, I'm lost. I got nothing. I'm not curious. I'm not interested. You got a show. I don't care. You know,
He's
I couldn't
just
even
described
fake
30 years of my life. I saw the show.
That's great.
I saw the show with Tina Fey.
Yeah.
Tina Fey, tremendous comic talent.
Fantastic.
I'm in any venue, in any
venue,
form.
any form.
I saw the show with you and Tina, and it seemed to me like a first date, where the two of you were, well, I'll talk and
Well, they're
she'll
all
talk.
first dates. I mean, I don't know Tina that well.
Okay, so now we see Sarah Jessica Parker, and this was Ringling Brothers.
I know Sarah.
So you have a relationship with
Yeah,
her.
but there are other people, Ricky Gervais, for example, I don't really know. You and I are friends mostly working,
Right?
but people would think, you know, our relationship is somewhat casual. Is that fair to say?
I think so.
And yet most people would watch that and think that we're very friendly, that we see each other all the time.
Well,
So it's not just the relationship. Certain people are just, you know.
Well, I was very impressed by this one, the Sarah Jessica Parker thing, and what also was reinforced in this one is the physical look of this show. And if I looked at the credits, would I see a scenic designer or a photographic designer, or are these just ideas you had visually?
Some of them are mine, yeah. I kind of like, I mean, that car I didn't like to photograph because it's just kind of boring.
Well, forget the car. I like the little interstitial, transitional videos of coffee and whatever, people and this and that.
That's kind of a Pavlovian thing that we do, you know. It's like if you like coffee and you like, it's just the car and the coffee. I don't know, I just kind of had this idea that people like those things. Let's make a show where those things we're gonna kind of pour over these things with affection.
Right.
And I like doing that.
And I'm saying the one we just saw here this evening was more cars and comedians than coffee. Coffee took a third place in this, where typically it's the comedian and the coffee, as opposed to the car.
What?
Do you, like when we did our show, or I did your show, how much video did we shoot?
We did quite a while. We may have done almost 3.5 hours.
Is that typical?
Yeah, that's typical. It seems to work. It's really weird. It seems to give me just enough. And I brought a thing, if I may, to show what, you know, like the actual moment feels like and what we make it into.
So this is raw material.
Yeah, just completely raw, like 60 seconds. I think the first one is me and Bob Einstein. What really happened, because none of this is in the rhythm and the pace and the feeling.
Right.
After, so I wanted to show you a little bit about, you know, what we're making out of the raw material. So I brought the raw material and the finished product.
Okay, and by the way, Bob Einstein, to my tastes, a tremendous choice for this. Maybe on the esoteric side, but nonetheless, here's a guy is just one of those guys. Well,
yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Okay, let's, where do we take a look at it here?
Yeah, can we roll that? Were they the first couple to what?
Magnificent.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
The first couple.
Well, who feels like an idiot right now? I'll tell you who.
Yeah.
Not me.
You don't feel like an idiot?
You do.
Why?
Because look at the crap you got, and look at the authentic.
Apparently, I'm at my restaurant.
It's not restaurant, it's restaurant.
So,
George Shapiro was so proud of me.
so,
Oh my God. That is fantastic. Please don't take your teeth out again. Watch them in the coffee and then put them back in. Please don't do that.
and I did it all for this, and all for this game, this whatever it is. I had my teeth taken out.
Just for the gag.
Finish anything for a laugh. So,
Oh, that is so good.
you won on this one. Yeah, you went. How good is that?
Please take half.
No. No.
If it's the last thing you do, we can be like Larry David.
No, I'm going to just try this. Okay, so,
If I try that, will you take this?
no. Magnificent.
Enjoy.
Oh my God, that is fantastic. Please don't take your teeth out again. That is so good.
You won on this one. How good is that?
Please take half.
No.
It's the last thing you do. If I try that, will you take this?
No. All right, what do you want, a bite?
Then give me that half.
You gonna take the whole half?
I'm just gonna take a bite and I'll give
No,
it back
I'll
to
cut
you.
it up and give
You're
it to
putting
you.
your hands all over everything.
You're
It's
goddamn
disgusting.
right I am. Well, you were gonna put your hands on my sandwich. Here, touch my
Oh,
fork.
now you're touching it again.
I'm very clean.
We're having a horrible day. People are funny here, aren't they?
Oh yeah, and here is where you get the blowing of the nose after the meal. A complete head clear. It's usually this. Bing, wow, 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 and then it's this. Siggy, yiggy, yiggy.
Yeah, wow. Well, there you go. So,
I have one more if you want to see it.
yeah, do you mind if I comment on that one first? Okay. If that were me, the first one that we saw, the raw footage, at some point, I would have done this. I would have wiped my mouth, and I would have said, Bob, excuse me for a second, and I would have walked over to someone with the show, and I would have said, this is not working.
Right. Right.
How do you know to hang in and keep going?
I didn't. When I did the first 10 shows, which is why I didn't invite you, by the way, because I didn't know or think that it would work. I was really a pure, just kind of a home garage experiment. It was a pure experiment.
And now that people have seen the show, your guests, do they know more about what is expected of them?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes them nervous because you watch the edited and you think, well, gee, I can't be that funny.
That's
But of
right.
course, nobody can.
Yeah.
It's when you compress it and put music and the little tricks that
All
we
right,
do.
what's the next
The
one?
next one is me and Sarah Silverman in a donut shop.
Sarah Silverman and Donut Shop.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is not hard to look.
No, not at all.
This is about like I watch at home.
Oh my God.
I would love, if you wouldn't mind, for you to give me a little opinion of different donuts. What you like and don't like and why.
I love it all, but I love this kind of, that kind of
That
thing.
little thing?
Oh, that little thing is so fried, right?
It is?
What is it? This is kind of like an elephant ear, like a piece of an elephant. Ofanson? Ofanson?
Mm-hmm. Sure, I knew that.
So good. But it's kind of like an elephant ear, but just a little piece.
But they got some madness going on here, don't they?
Yeah.
What's the light colored
Oh.
chocolate? And look, and there's another one back there.
With a black coffee, and that is probably amazing.
And what are these?
I don't even
Don't
get me
even.
started.
Let's not
It
even.
doesn't look like
Come on.
anything on my body that's facing the ground.
What about these fellas here? Honestly, my favorite thing here would be this.
arugula?
Sarah, what about this thing? Looks like a spice cake or something. We want to get some scratch-off lottery ticket. We want the $5.
Oh!
I don't know. I don't understand. If I get 2 words or 3 words, I get money. 7 words.
My brain is already shut down.
There you go. So it's remarkable. The editing process takes how long per show, an average?
Few weeks.
And do you have in your mind as you're shooting a script that forms?
No, it forms as you're watching it. I'll tell you one of the most amazing things, just as long as we're sitting here. Did you see the Sarah Jessica thing where she was talking about Harry Chapin, which just came up, that her mother would listen to that music.
Right.
And then I mentioned, well, he died on this road we're on, and then she does the Cat's Cradle with the string, which was the song we were talking about. Now, those are obviously that's not planned.
No.
But those kinds of things, you have to see them and then go, oh, wait a minute, we got something there.
Right.
And then you juxtapose them and hope that the audience kind of catches on.
Right, and good for you, and God bless you, because those things don't always happen.
No.
And the only thing close to that in the first clip was Bob Einstein's hairpiece.
Yeah.
So,
That is a show business secret, Dave, that
I'm
no
sorry.
one is supposed to know.
Good, at least it's not going anywhere. But I do find it remarkable, and the music, for God's sakes, the music makes it seem like here we are, Sarah Silverman and myself, and we're enjoying picking out pastries. for
Yeah, it's
heaven's
all a
sake.
trick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so versus your old show, Seinfeld. How many hours do you commit to an episode of this versus how many hours you committed to that one?
Well, this, it's just a few hours to get together, and then I sit in the edit, which I enjoy. I don't know why I enjoy it, but I like just piecing it together. What's interesting is if you have a real narrative, and I discovered this when we did a bit with Jason Alexander for the Super Bowl, and Larry David and I wrote a scene that takes place in the little diner. And if you put music under a scene that has actual written narrative, it ruins the scene. But since this has no drive, no point, the music doesn't fight with it, and it just seems to kind of fills in the little gaps.
Right. And what have you learned of these people? stepping away from the process now, what have you learned about these people that you didn't know before? What have you learned about yourself?
Well, which is, I mean, I've known it my whole life, but it's an unbelievable thrill to me to show it to the public, which is that this is a breed of human. This is a subset, bizarre, Pekingese, weird breed of human, and that they're all have a similarity.
Right.
Because I can relate to them. That's another bizarre breed, people I can relate to. But, so that's what I've learned, is that these people are all the same.
Now, I know that, getting back to the tired question and comparison about why wouldn't this show work on a network, and you don't want to take notes from people, and you don't do pre-interviews and so on and so forth. In looking at earlier shows, I thought one of the strongest shows I saw was Louis C.K. Because in Louis C.K.'s episode, it was dominated, first of all, the activity of Louis on the boat. I thought was remarkable.
Yeah.
Because good luck to him pulling out of the west side into the Hudson.
Yeah.
A lot of thrusters and looking over his shoulder and pier pilings and so forth. I was fascinated by that. And then when you get to where you guys drop anchor, and then he tells the story about getting the thing stuck. I found that fascinating. And there was very little discussion about comedy, and you're like me, we're both subhuman, or whatever it was you said. But that was almost of a traditional talk show situation.
Yeah. Although, there's that one moment in there. Here's another thing I really love about the show. Louis starts talking about how he's got to take his daughters uptown to go to school, and they got to wait for the bus. He likes to wait for the bus. He doesn't want to hire a car. And they're going to freeze. And then he says, this is going to be a tough winter. And then he said, but I think I'm going to miss it. And we start talking about something can be really bad in your life, and you could still miss it. Because it had to do with his kid. And that's a sweet little moment that would get crushed in front of a live audience. You couldn't even get to that. That he and I just kind of sit there and go, wow, that's really nice. That's a nice thought. I'm going to miss this horrible winter I'm about to go through because I'm going to wait outside with my kids in the freezing cold. And I like that I can do that I can include that, and it'll work. I'll put it between two jokes, and people will get something out of that.
Well, what you just described there, I think, is universal. People would respond to that irrespective of the venue.
But it doesn't come out of the person in a, let's call this a show business traditional context. Where when you put a comedian in front of an audience, Dave, and no one knows it better than you, they're going for the joke. They're going for the joke.
Yes, but if Louis C.K. were here tonight, and I understand he was your first choice.
Yeah.
And he related that story, irrespective of context, I think people would respond to that.
He's not going to go into the story because there's no punchline to it. Because he's a comedian, and he's built that way. And you got to get them away from the audience to get them to talk,
right.
About things that aren't necessarily, reaction.
So you're thinking that he would probably, that would never come up on if he were a guest on my show. We wouldn't hear that story.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, there wasn't really anything to it. Plus, telling how he gets high and packs his jacket.
That was the other. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just delightful.
Yeah. The blue numbers, how he loves the blue numbers.
Getting ready for a 3D movie.
Yeah.
that was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And would this work with other people, not just comedians?
You need jokes to get through it. So without the jokes, you can't even attempt, I think, although tonight was my first night hearing a live audience watch an episode. And I was, quite excited to hear that people laughed, because you don't know. We make the things, we put them on the internet. We don't know if anyone's laughed.
But again, and I just don't mean to be contrary about this, but the Sarah Jessica Parker, that interaction was not typically jokes. That was just two friends making each other laugh.
No,
and making comments and saying things about that we both understand, and we have this in common, and making fun about the car.
Rye bread is a joke. In this show, that's a joke.
Right,
We
Brett,
consider that a
yeah.
joke.
Now, you said earlier that when you had the idea for the show, you wanted to make a show for a phone. Mm-hmm. Now, is that typically how people watch this show now?
It isn't. No, it isn't. They watch it at work when they're supposed to be working. Which we found out, they give you these analytics for these things, and they tell you when time they watch and how long they're screwing off work watching my show.
And is this an internet? Are you a true pioneer here? Is this an internet success? Is this a one of a kind, and we will now see more like this? Is this different than Funny or Die? How is it different from that?
Well, in Funny or Die, they say funny or die, and yet no one dies.
So that's your complaint about that.
That's my complaint about that. But, well, I'll tell you, the thing that I'm proud of is that I met with that top Facebook guy, the top YouTube lady, the top, CAA, the head of the digital thing of CAA. This is the genius who sees the future that you can't even comprehend.
Right.
Okay? And before I started this, and they said, they listen and they go, yeah, maybe, might be a show. They'd say, but you can't make it longer than 5 minutes. If you make it longer than 5 minutes, the audience is going to be gone. And that I ignored that and made it what I thought the people would listen to. Just a gamble, just a guess, and that we did exceed that 5 minutes. They said 5 minutes is the internet firewall. You can't go past it.
5 minutes is the internet firewall.
Yeah, you can't watch anything longer than 5 minutes.
They have quantified the American attention span
Well,
at 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But our average viewer watches 19 minutes.
See, I'm fascinated, first of all, because I've made a living in comedy, and because I also love cars. Where does the love of your cars come from? We learned in the thing that you had to make a choice between motorcycles, which I never knew that you rode motorcycles, and automobiles. I think you made the right choice, by the way.
Well, you saw where I grew up in that episode, and the cars meant everything in those days. That was how you're going to see the world, I thought. I mean, most guys, you grew up with the same, I'm sure, is like that thing is the thing that's going to get me away from my parents and out into the world.
Yeah.
So it had a tremendous romance.
Right. But everybody probably shares some version of that as a kid, being in the back seat, being ignored or causing trouble or both. But you pursued it beyond just fond memories of the car.
Yes, I'm obsessed with cars, and I don't really know why. But I think they're amazing cultural objects. I mean, each one of those cars. I mean, look at those people reacting to that useless station wagon. They go, oh. I remember. I thought it was another theory of mine with the show is I thought people would enjoy seeing things they don't realize they don't see anymore. You know, a VW Bug.
Well, I think that's absolutely right.
It's fun to see those. Even if you're not a car person, you go, oh, that used to be in my vision all the time, and now it's gone.
Right. Another show that I enjoyed greatly watching it was your visit with Carl Reiner first. And then from Carl Reiner, you go to his friend's house,
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks.
We went to Carl's house, and Mel came over for dinner.
Well, that's right. Mel always comes over for dinner.
Right.
And I thought that was lovely.
Yeah.
Now, you had met them before.
Yes. I knew Carl, and we actually did a show together, and he started telling me how him and Mel get together every night, and they watch Jeopardy, and then they eat on TV trays.
Right.
Well, you can imagine my excitement. I mean, really, this is like these legendary guys, these TV trays. I mean, so I called Mel. I said, would you mind if I came in? And he said that a lot of people had asked that they wanted to shoot this. And I was very fortunate that they let me do it.
How much time did you spend in
I was there
Carl's
a few
house?
hours. They're all a few hours.
Yeah. And Mel Brooks is indefatigable. Am I correct about that? He's probably still talking.
Yeah, still really amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And do you, as a comedian, is there anything you can learn from these guys?
Well, I don't care. I don't want to learn. I'm not here to learn. I just like being... I just love being around it.
Right.
Honestly, this has been my life. I mean, most people know us as guys on stage. They know everything. They've watched thousands of hours of you on camera. They don't know you have this other life, which I know about. Of knucklehead guys that you will talk to for hours
Right.
of nonsense that entertain you.
Now,
that's what I wanted to show.
This brings up something that I've known all my life from when I first moved to Los Angeles. There are guys, and we know the one I'm talking about. There are guys who are in comedy, and they are funnier
Yeah.
at the table
Yes.
than they will ever be
That's
on stage.
right.
What's the deal on that?
You know, I own that phrase, by the way. You can't just say that without my legal
Thank you
representation
very much.
clearing.
I won't be taking any calls.
The deal is, an act is not being funny, and you know this, I apologize, but the audience doesn't. Being funny has not that much to do with what a great comedy act is about. A great comedy act is a machine that's built. Being funny is the fuel, but you got to have a whole machine to burn it, and that's the act. And Bob Einstein doesn't stand up on stage by himself, neither does Alec Baldwin. But so this is another way I thought I could capture that.
You're referring to an attitude that's consistent?
No, I'm
you feed
talking-
things through an attitude and it comes out funny. You feed things through your own perspective.
An attitude and a joke structure, segues, shaping of themes, and I mean, you got to build. An act has to be built.
And you claim that all comedians suffer irritation.
You claim? Yes, I claim.
Yes, it says here, Your Honor.
Yes, enormously. People that are born, they wake up, they open their eyes, they're incredibly irritated immediately. As soon as before the day even starts, they're unbelievably irritated, which everybody else is too, but they can't articulate it as well.
Let me give you just a brief example from my own life of how I feel very lucky to be surrounded by the people I'm surrounded by. And I have a group of old friends from grade school and from high school. And this past weekend, we went on a fishing trip. And they're all old guys like me.
Wow.
And I went, there's a place, a bakery in New York, Billy's Cakes.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I don't eat a lot of dessert, but if you're going to eat dessert, it's Billy's Cakes.
Where is this?
I don't know.
Just give me this. Tell us the
I don't know where.
Give
It's
us
in New York City.
Okay. Oh, it's in the city.
New York City, yeah.
And you're going fishing in New York City.
No, we're going fishing in Indiana, at a lake in southern Indiana.
So you get a bite in New York City, and then
I buy a cake
yeah.
because I think this will be great. When at the end of the day of fishing, we'll have this, my favorite cake. And because I'm always hoping to make people laugh, because
Right.
I'm irritated and desperate.
Right. Right.
So I have the people at Billy's write on the cake, "Good luck, Cindy," Cindi.
That's funny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's funny.
That's so after dinner.
But they're not comedians.
After dinner, what do you got here? Oh, geez, who's
Yeah,
Cindy?
see? Well,
So for 45 minutes, I have to explain to
Yes.
them.
what are you
There
doing?
is no Cindy.
No, of course
They
not.
say,
That's
well,
why you.
I bet it was her birthday. No. Maybe. And then so now I'm playing along. No, I think it was graduation. And I finally said, no, I had him put "Good luck, Cindy" because I
Right.
thought we'd all get a laugh.
Oh, yes. I laughed.
You
Yes,
laughed.
I laughed. That's a comedian joke. There was a great. Somebody told me a great comedian joke. Well, see, I can tell it won't get. You will laugh. Nobody else will laugh. I'm not going to tell it. 'Cause
All right.
that was-
Oh, come on, Jerry,
No,
please.
it's not. It's only funny to comedians. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. Comedian gets a job performing at an Alzheimer's clinic. The guy says to him, "Look, these people are very sick. They have Alzheimer's, but we're so happy to just have anyone here, some kind of entertainment. If you could just go out, whatever you could do, we're just so grateful to have entertainment." The guy goes out, comedian. He's very nervous. He tells his first joke, gigantic laugh, massive laugh. He thinks for a second. You know, you see where this is going. He tells the same joke again. Another laugh. Even bigger than the first one. the punchline of this joke is not going to get a laugh, okay? I'm just telling you that. So then he tells the same joke again and again, and he's killing the place. They're screaming, they're falling out of their chairs. All the time he's doing the show, there's a guy in the back just doing this, just watching this, watching this set, you know, he's not laughing, just watching. Comes off, thunderous round of applause, standing ovation. Everyone congratulating him. This other guy comes over. He says, that was quite a show you just did there. The guy says, thank you very much. He says, let me ask you a question. How do you remember all that?
Very good.
I'm surprised. Okay, I'm surprised you like that because only comedians know, for some reason, this is the big question that a regular person will ask you after a show. How do you remember it?
Well, that's right.
I don't know why they asked that.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't have anything else to remember.
The guest that I read that you would like and have asked to be on the show and has not been on the show is Woody Allen.
Well, yeah, I did ask Woody Allen, and he said he was going to think about it. I don't know if he's seen it or has any idea of what it would be, or if he would want to do something like that. But
so you would not? There would not be a follow-up call. You're just sort of working.
No, I'm not. I don't like to bother people.
Yeah, yeah.
But you really were the biggest get.
Stop!
That can't be possible. The fact that you did the show really made it something that people started to pay attention to, and I'm very grateful to you for that.
Well, that's very sweet of you.
Yeah.
But and here another true story from my own life. I was so happy then that it was cars getting comedians and coffee or whatever.
Whatever it is.
Because I thought I will. This will be my crutch, the car. I will yak about this car until Jerry decides it's time to pack up his items and go home.
But that didn't happen.
Well, there's a great pressure, to be honest with you.
But there really isn't. It's because you're watching the edited version, which is not real. Nobody acts like that for 13 minutes.
Right. But I'll bet you the ratio was, your strike rate was higher with Sarah Jessica Parker than it was with me.
I don't know, Dave. You've done 30 years of television. Your strike rate's pretty good.
Yeah. How do I remember all that? How many seasons of this will you do?
I'm going to do a couple more years they booked, which is not that much. It's 6. I do 12 a year, and I really enjoy doing them, and I just can't believe people are enjoying them.
No, I'm very envious of this.
Oh, thank you.
Because recently I announced my retirement, and my friends keep telling me, well, what will you do in retirement? And the answer that I have coalesced now in my head is, I'm going to look for a job. And this is tremendous. I can think, this must be, and forgive me for assuming things that you may never have thought about, but I think this would be as satisfying as Seinfeld.
Oh, that's really...
Don't you think it
that's
is?
That's even more over the top than what I just said about you. No, Dave, no.
Well, how can this not?
Because people like stories with characters and Kramer coming in the door. This is a hors d'oeuvre. This is a tapas bar. This is, you know... it's an anti-show about a non-event for.
I think there's more to this than you're willing to admit.
If you're being sincere, I'm very flattered, but I don't know really what you're talking about. Why do you think this? The only way I think that this show has anything that's interesting is I've really kind of introduced the idea of the edited talk show. Mm-hmm. Without an audience.
Right, but it's not like you have writers.
No.
You don't have directors. You don't have a producer.
I do, I have a producer.
Other than yourself?
Yeah, if somebody says, listen, we got to have a camera on Wednesday, I'm not making that call.
You could get a temp to do that.
Yeah. We have amazing people working on this.
Who goes with you into editing?
Excuse me?
I say, who goes with you into editing?
I have the editor. I have my producer, Dennis, and Tammy, and the four of us sit there, and we I watch the whole. Here's the hardest part of the show: is
Watching
I've
all
got
the
to watch
footage.
the entire
Right.
day again. It's very Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
And because there's always some little thing in there that, you know.
Shows that have been on the Crackle. Whatever happened to Snap and Pop? Are they still in the business?
No,
Is it-
we bought them
You
out.
bought them
yeah.
out. Yeah. I can't watch my own show. Are there shows in this run that you have trouble looking at, or you learn from
No, I
every
can't
show?
watch any of them.
Can't watch any.
By the time I'm done with it, I didn't watch
You've
the
seen
TV
it so many
series.
times.
No, I can't.
Yeah, yeah. Is there something now that you're thinking, I wish Dave would ask me?
You can ask me, why did you have no interest in taking over my show?
All right.
Is that a good question?
All right. And by the way, why not? We can still make that happen. That other thing isn't, the ink hasn't dried on that other thing.
No.
Would you do I mean, now that you have this, this is all you want. This is all I would want.
That's nice. That makes
I
me feel
remember
so good.
I said to you early on, I said, what about this? And I was serious. Comedians on horseback getting coffee.
Yeah.
And you just said, "Pfft, come on.
Yeah.
And I said, no, this would be great because you have comedians on horses, and then you get these beautiful vistas of the West. And by and large, most comedians have not been on horses, so we learn more about them that way than riding around in a station wagon. But you wouldn't need to do, if it weren't for this, would you have considered taking my job?
No. First of all, you're such a.
Oh, stop it.
Okay, but I wanted to try and do something that I thought, you know, was kind of. I love the idea of this new medium. I love the idea of a new concept. It made me want to do a little work, you know, which normally you don't want to do if you don't have to.
Right. But you still work quite actively doing stand-up?
Yes, I love doing that.
Two nights a week is about what you do?
Yeah, about.
And what are the parameters of that? Do you have a travel limit? Like I'll go to the West Coast and then I'll do something a little
I'll
closer?
go anywhere, but I don't want to do more than 2 nights in the week because I like to get home.
Get home with the kids
like to
and
be
the
home,
family?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand that, yeah. And do the kids enjoy the...
I don't know if they've seen it, actually. Have they seen it, sweetie? Not really. I catch them watching the TV series once in a while, and that's a bizarre moment. To walk in the bedroom and your kids are watching your old TV show. And I said to my daughter, why are you watching this? Are you watching it because your dad's on it or because you like the show? And she thought for a minute, and she went, I don't know. That's true.
I love we talked about the episode where it's the Volvo. And I just, for some reason, again, I felt like here now the car is a structural part of this show. Tina Fey, irrespective of Tina Fey, I loved looking at that Volvo. And you said that the thing had 1 million miles on it.
Not that one, but other Volvos of that type.
Of that type.
3 million.
3
It's
million.
Up to, Irv
Yeah.
Gordon is up to 3 million.
But why isn't Volvo making cars that look like that now?
Because we have a lot of electronics and a lot of government agencies and lawyers that require cars to be safe and clean and not emit certain things, and they have to fulfill all of those legal things. In those days, if you want to make a car, make a car. If you can sell it, sell it. That's what made those cars so much more interesting.
But it was a beautiful car.
It was.
And I think one does not consider a Volvo a beautiful car.
Okay. That one was, but you know all this. They can't make cars. That's another thing of the show. Remember when cars were fun. That's another one of my...
Now, you've had them break down. You've been hassled
Yeah.
by police. You've
Yeah.
had them break down.
Yeah.
And that's all great for the show, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's all right. The Chris Rock one was very funny. I
Right.
really enjoyed getting stopped by a cop. He was really nervous.
And
about
what was his car?
that. Lamborghini Miura.
Yeah. And what were
And,
the circumstances of the breakdown?
That car didn't break down. Then we got stopped by the cop, and the cop said to me, "Is this your car?" I said, "No, sir." And it's part of the show. You see, and I cut that off, and then it's a joke.
Yeah.
And but Chris was actually scared because he's black and getting stopped by a white cop. He thought something bad was going to happen.
And Ricky Gervais, that was the breakdown?
No, it was Patton Oswalt in the DeLorean. That car broke
Oh, the
down.
DeLorean. Now,
Yeah.
what was your impression of the DeLorean? Forget Patton Oswalt.
Pretty bad.
What was your
Yeah.
impression of the DeLorean?
It's pretty bad, but it's such a funny story. I'm sure you remember Carson putting money into it
Yeah.
and the Irish plant that
Yep.
they were making these ridiculous cars, and this arrogant guy with a chin implant, John Z. DeLorean, who came up with the GTO. That's how he made
Yeah,
his name.
big guy at General
GM.
Motors.
Yeah, it seems like they got the same folks still there, by the way. And it's just a funny car. It's a funny car.
But the story about Johnny and his car, he had invested $1 million in the DeLorean Motor Company, and then you know the rest of the story.
Did he get one?
He got one,
Yeah.
and he's driving it into Burbank from Malibu, and quits on the Ventura Freeway.
Oh my God.
So he's there with his car, his DeLorean, his car of the future, parked
Right,
on
yeah.
up against the guardrail, right in the middle.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, do you suppose Johnny was upset?
I would have included that. I had a picture of him in one of the cars in the show.
Yep, that was the deal on that. And then I think John DeLorean had to go away for a while.
He went away for a while, yeah.
Jerry, I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you, Dave.
And I just want to make sure, I have all of these notes that I haven't looked at. So again, I'm going to ask you, what have I overlooked? It's time now for old business.
Nothing.
No. What do you want to talk about?
Nothing.
What do you want to ask me?
What's your favorite car these days to drive? You have some cars.
Yes, I have some
And
cars.
they always-
Not on the level of yours.
That's not true.
But I took out an old 911 a couple of weeks ago with my son.
Right.
And I was telling you this upstairs. The ventilation heating system in these 911s was never why you bought the car. Because let's face it, the weather in Germany, just fine. And all of a sudden, the fan motor caught fire and filled the car with smoke. And Harry thought this was as much fun as you're ever going to have in a car. We had to pull off
Right.
and jump, open the doors, and hit the ground rolling. And it was just fantastic.
It's like the Louis C.K. story where the boat gets stuck and they're there for 12 hours. And,
Yeah, that was a great story.
and the girl said, we just had a
But
great
see,
experience.
that's right. Now, see, that gave me a view of Louis C.K. I would not have had heretofore.
Right.
And I found that, first of all, what's Louis C.K. doing in a boat? Does he have a license? Can he get a license?
Yeah. That's Louis. See, he knew nothing about it, decided to get into it.
Yeah.
He is a fearless guy. He says, I'll go out, I'll make all these mistakes, I'll screw it up, and then I'll learn how to do it.
Right. But what I related to was the ignominy of Louis putting his boat with his kids in the mud, close enough to land, the west side, where people gathered
Yeah.
and recognized him. Hey, Louis! And now he realizes, until the tide comes out, he's got 12 full hours of, hey, Louis! I mean, that's like everybody's worst nightmare.
Yeah, it was great.
Now, it was great. Yeah. I'm told that we have questions from the audience, and I don't know how that is facilitated. There's a woman right there. What is your name, ma'am? Okay, we'll give you the microphone. By the way, you can keep the microphones when we're done.
Thank you so much.
What is your name?
That's very sweet. Eileen.
Eileen, all right.
Hi. My question for Jerry is, you're singing the theme song now.
Oh, that was
yeah.
fantastic.
What did you think of that?
That was great, and I
Really?
just thought this show can't get any better. And then he comes on singing the damn theme song, and there was never a. Did you write the words? Of the theme
Yeah,
song?
I wrote it.
Oh my God! Well, there you go.
Well, I thought that the show looked like a 60s sitcom, so that was the idea of that joke.
But it doesn't look like a 60s sitcom.
Well, I thought with the old Ford and she and I looked like a married couple in Levittown. The music was very 60s sitcom-y.
Well, I thought it was a great touch. I just, like I said, I liked the look of it, and I thought this was the perfect addition to what was already there.
Well, I'm so glad.
Eileen, do you have any other questions?
What did you want to know, dear? Sorry? What did you want to know?
I wanted to know a little bit about why you decided to do the theme song.
Why I
which
sang
you-
the song.
With you
Well,
answered.
you know, this is the reason I'm not doing other things, is because I don't have to ask anybody about anything. I
Is this
You-
the
you
first
can
time
just
that
do
you?
anything you want. It's the internet. You
Is
can
this
just
the
do
first
it.
time you're singing in public? Is this?
No, I've sang before. I have sang before.
Eileen, is there anything you'd like to sing? God bless you, and I know you're lying. Thank you. But Louis C.K. is very proud of his relationship with FX because he
Yes, well,
doesn't
that's
listen.
pretty cool, yeah.
So why not you somewhere else now?
Oh, with this thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Who knows? Who cares?
Okay. Yes, sir, right there in the hoodie.
You could talk. I'm sure we could hear you. Yeah.
Hi there. So hearing
your
that
name?
you have to, oh, I'm Justin. I actually was your intern in 2002.
Who, Dave?
Yeah,
Intern where?
at the Late Show.
Oh.
He remembers me well.
Do you?
I mean, yeah.
But
Nice
this
to
question
see
is
ya.
for Jerry.
How's your sister?
So I think I know the answer because you alluded that.
Then let someone else.
Well, you alluded that you spend about three and a half hours with the guests, and then it ends up being 20 minutes. But is that the reason why Regis hasn't been on your show yet?
So you got a little act going yourself that you're working on.
In all seriousness, Regis would be incredible, I think.
Okay.
Let's make it happen.
That's a good question. Not strictly speaking a comedian, but would he be considered?
I don't think so. No. No, of course. I love Regis. I could pick anyone at any time. I don't put a lot of thought into it. I love Regis. I've loved being on his show. He is a very funny guy. But I'm really still kind of in the pure comedy world of, there's a lot of people I still want to get to, like, and Jon Stewart and Bill Burr and Jimmy Fallon and people like that are,
What about, you tell me a little bit about your time with Don Rickles. Because I look at Don Rickles, and I don't mean to be saying something here that is inappropriate, but when Don passes away, and forgive me for invoking that, but it's likely, to me, that's the end of something special, something that when I was a kid, you could see every night on The Tonight Show. You could see some version of that. You could see Don Rickles, you could see Dean Martin, you could see all of these guys that represented a form of show business or a style of show business that I think is long gone.
Yeah, so I was really very excited to get him on the show because he is one of those guys from that era that we watched that made us get interested in the whole profession. So, and he's pretty amazing. There's not many guys at that point that still have the juice that he has. He
Right.
was so fun to have on the show.
Right, yeah, good. All right, and someone else? Yes, ma'am, right there.
I have two questions for you. The first is it okay to take a photo with you later? Is that okay?
I'm going to answer the second one first. Go ahead.
And
I
second,
just love when politicians do that. I don't know.
second, you like cars. So if you thought back to the characters in Seinfeld, which car do you think each one, would be closest to or would represent them?
Well, Kramer had a car on the show. He had an old Chevy Impala, I think, that backfired a lot and played a role in one of the shows. I don't think George ever had a car. Oh, John Voight's LeBaron. That's right. Thank you, Bill. He did. Yeah, so that solves that. I had a Saab. That just leaves a lane. So 3 out of 4 did have cars. So that question is answered, and the other one is no. No, sure you can. Sure.
The man 3/4 of the way back in the plaid shirt.
So we live in Astoria, right by where you and Howard went.
Yes.
The diner. And I'm curious, do you guys walk around and look at that, supermarket and say, we're going to walk in there? Or do you get a lay of the land before? Like, how does that happen? Because that was a great, you guys did that.
I think it started with Dave that I realized a second location, if I could get these people into another location besides the diner and the car, Dave, I got him to go into a hardware store, which we were just in briefly, but I really liked that.
Yes.
Because it was kind of fun, so I started looking for places in the area.
Now you had no idea ahead of time that we would,
No, because I think we had talked about
Yes.
hardware stores or something, and then
And
there
then we
was
were,
one.
yeah.
So that's where that started. And so we find a diner that we like for whatever reason, and then I go, what else is around there that maybe I could take them into? And the Howard Stern supermarket, that sounded good. Thank you.
yes, ma'am, right there. Hi.
Hi. Hi,
Sarah.
I thought the Acura product break was very well done.
Oh, thank you.
And it didn't compromise the show in any way. It was
Thank
almost
you.
enjoyable. So I'm just wondering what the process is like with the advertiser and how you decide what the integration will be.
Well, when we made the deal with Acura, which is what enabled the show, after I did the 10, it was over. I wasn't going to do any more because I couldn't actually get a company to step up and go, okay, we'll pay the amount of money it takes to do this, and with some little profit to make it, worth all the time, and except for Acura. So the guy there, Mike Acavidi, who believed in me and believed in the show, kind of took that risk with us. And one of the deal points is we have to include our products in the show. And I said to him, do you mind if I make it funny as part of the show? And he said no. And so those are product placements that are in movies and TV shows now, but you're supposed to not notice them. So we thought, well, why don't we make a fuss about it? Why don't we make it really lame? And,
This is the part of this I really, really admired when you say, where's our product placement car? And I thought, great, this is...
Because you're supposed to be very smooth about that.
I thought that was lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So I just kind of think of, in an episode with Jon Stewart, the car tries to run us over, the product placement. So, and I kind of like that. I like that because this is something that's kind of part of TV now, and movies to a certain extent. So we thought, well, let's do something with it instead of just having something forced upon us.
That's a simple, small idea, but I think it's tremendous. I think that's a great idea.
Thanks.
And if you don't mind, let me ask you another question. Do you get initial viewers when the thing is first downloaded? And then what is your recidivism, if that's the correct word, on the viewing?
It is if you're a prisoner, but not... the fact of the matter is, from what... because the meetings about the analytics of the show are unbelievably fascinating if you like statistics and viewing habits and how the public is changing what it does.
Yes.
The thing I said about people watching at work is true. That's what they do. With this show, we have seasons, and I was saying this to Tom Keeney the other day in the meeting. I said, do you think the audience has any idea that we have seasons and that the show comes on and then goes away? He said, no, they have no idea. They just have heard about the thing, it's on the internet, and they watch it whenever they feel like it.
Does it, and maybe you don't have this information, maybe you don't care about this information, does it seem to be name-driven, or is it just Jerry Seinfeld with the cars and the comedians and the coffee?
There are a few names that bump it a little bit, as you know, on your show. Mostly they're watching the show.
Yep.
That's been another very encouraging thing. A lot of people, they don't know. They watch the show, and that made me think, oh, they like the show.
Right. Is it work to find this show? Like for me, I'm 67. If I wanted to find this show...
Can you spell comedians? If you can spell it and type it,
comes right up.
It comes right up.
Well, I did. I looked at a lot of episodes on my own.
On your own?
On my own.
Nobody helped you.
Nobody helped me. But I'm just saying, in the vast universe, the vast galaxy, it's easy enough to find. It's a website address. Okay. Thank you, Grandpa.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, all the way in the back. Well, don't stand up.
Just wondering what your first car was, or your first... I was just wondering for both of you, what was your first car, or...
Not the pickup?
First car you really loved?
That's two great questions that I would like to know the answer to. Your first car and the first car that you really loved.
My first car was a, well, you go first.
Mine was a 73 Fiat 128, and I was madly in love with it because nobody in Long Island had European cars, and that I had, you know, front-wheel drive and a rack and pinion steering. I thought I was the coolest thing. It wasn't fast, but I thought that was cool.
How old were you?
I was 20.
It's a pretty good choice for a kid.
Well, I was reading the magazines.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I wanted that.
My first car was just a rusted-out Volkswagen Bug Beetle,
Really?
and it had a crank, and the thing would, the roof would go back, and it finally quit. And the first car that I really loved was a BMW 320i.
Oh, I remember that one, the black one.
Yes, and it handled the way a car is supposed to handle. It was pretty much neutral, a little low on power, and it's gone. How about you? What was your first car?
A BMW 2002.
Nice
Oh, that's
ride?
a great car.
1974, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Who wants
BMW.
Jerry to buy him a car?
I can do it.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Joe. To that
Joe.
exact point, you could buy the car. So could you afford you, if you didn't love doing this so much, would the show be able to pay your salary or your guests? Because the guests go on late night for promotion and so forth.
The guests go on for promotion.
Like Sarah Jessica Parker and the guests that you get are doing it as a favor.
Yeah.
You most.
Well, now they kind of see that I'm going to take good care of them, in terms of I'm going to make them look good. You know, no one's anything weird. I would never run. So I want so people feel free. But could they afford me? I mean, could someone pay? Well, sure.
There is a guest payment.
There is guest payment. Yeah. Dave refused it. It's not a big money thing, but I did feel like I wanted it to work as a business, because that to me was, in this medium, to create a show that made money hasn't really been done, you know, in any kind of, you know, in a significant way. That is, you could get big people. And so, yeah, that was part of the puzzle that I enjoyed trying to solve.
Could you tell us what a show production budget is?
It's in the neighborhood of $100,000 per episode to make one.
Compared to an episode of Seinfeld, what would that have been? A million?
A million?
A million for an episode of Seinfeld? $500,000?
At what point? At what point in the run? In the beginning?
I don't know.
In the beginning, maybe.
Yeah.
In the end, you couldn't get Jerry Stiller for $1 million at the end. It was a very popular show.
Well, yes, ma'am, right there, leaning on your thing.
Hello. My question was just about how do you decide who to engage with outside of the comedian? Because in that Bob episode,
Einstein?
yeah, so I couldn't stop staring at that woman with the white hair behind you
wasn't
guys.
she fantastic?
That was good.
And so some episodes you have the comedian, like Sarah, engaged with somebody off the street. Do you encourage that, or do you just, or it organically happens? Do you
I try
engage?
I try and not use it. Like when Dave and I went to the coffee shop in what was it? Dan, I don't know, whatever it was. A lot of people obviously were excited, and they all came out, and we met a lot of folks afterwards and signed and took pictures and all that stuff. But I want the show, I want you to feel like you're just hanging out with us. So I take out the celebrity reaction so that it has this kind of small, accessible vibe of, yeah, I would like to hang out with those two guys for 20 minutes, but I don't want the show business stuff. So, no, I generally will take that out.
Right there, sir.
When you said you met with all these digital gurus and they told you that 5 minutes was the maximum, don't go past 5 minutes, did you think that they were wrong, or did
No.
you say, screw it, I don't care?
Yeah, screw it, I don't care. I do a lot of things like that.
All right, and then, yes, sir, we just passed over you.
I'm not funny.
Thank you, Nate.
I'll just leave it at that. In terms of monetization of your content, is it licensed or structured so that it can be distributed internationally, or is
It is
only
international. We were in Puerto Rico on a vacation, and the the guy that comes down to the beach and gets a drink for you, starts talking to me that he loves Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks, and he loves the show. And I thought, how cool is this? I got into this guy's pocket. I mean, that he's got my show in his pocket. So, yeah, I mean, it's all over the world.
But that's the nature of the internet, isn't it, for God's
In
sake?
some cases, I mean, it's not in France. I mean, it doesn't go everywhere, but it goes pretty wide.
Why wouldn't it be in France?
Well, those people, they got a problem. I don't even know that. It might go to France. There's some places it doesn't go.
Okay, so we're about to wrap it up. I think we could all go on all evening, but thank you so much for a very, very special program.